Hi everyone, welcome to my channel and to today's video, which is a thrift DIY hack flip project situation with a few pieces that I found that you might be familiar with if you've seen my last thrift haul. So I'm gonna get into upcycling some of those pieces, but I just want to let you know before I jump into the video that today's video is very kindly being sponsored by the Great Courses Plus, which is very exciting. So thank you to them for sponsoring it and to you guys for watching these kind of videos, because sponsorships help keep my channel going. So I'll tell you a little bit about that later, but for now, these are the items that I've decided to flip in today's video. I'm upcycling 3 pieces today: the circle mirror, which was £3.50, the Pat West box, which was £4.50, that has a fun story to it, and then I'm also upcycling the cane shelf that was in a bit of a rough state and needed some TLC. So let's start with the circular mirror. I picked this up in the charity shop a couple of weeks ago, so I came up with this idea and I think it worked pretty well. So let me show you what I did.
So for this piece, I wanted to establish a plan of action. I started pinning things on Pinterest and I noticed that the ones I really liked were very bohemian and rough looking. This one from Wayfair was my favorite, so I had to start by prying off the plastic of the mirror, which went like this.
So these are the little plastic catches that make the mirror not fall out, basically. And on the back there is no way to get it off, so what I've done is I started breaking open the plastic very gently to prise the mirror out without breaking the mirror.
This took me quite some time, and a lot of this I had to do off camera, but I ended up just trying to really break the plastic as gently as I could. I really wish I'd looked at the back of this piece before I bought it, so there is a thrifting tip for you for next time.
15 minutes later, she's out. Oh no, stuck to the desk! Maybe I should take these off.
And after successfully prying it off the desk, I was able to start actually piecing this together. I'm using these really thin wooden dowels that I found on Amazon. I used 2 packs, they're fairly inexpensive, and I started by laying the first one down using a bit of hot glue, and I used my ruler to make sure that the one I added next was exactly opposite on the other side. And then I'm going to start adding them at quarter intervals and then at 8ths. This way I was able to spread them out a little bit just to make sure that they're all pointing in a very neat direction. None of them are going to start being wonky, and I can space them out really evenly this way. I realised later on that it was better to section them into 16ths, not 8ths, because then there was less space to play with when adding all of the other dowels. So here's me adding a 16th and then all of the little dowels in between. I used a hot glue for this project, but you can use a super glue if you would like. Because it was a bit trial and error, I wanted to make sure I could pry them off and reapply them if I really had to. I then cut down some smaller pieces like so, which I started adding on top of my design, which you'll see in a minute, and this was to give it some structure.
So hopefully you can see what I'm doing here, but I'm adding tiny pieces of the wooden dowels to kind of connect up all of the rest of them. Each one touches 4 pieces and then onto a next one. I'm doing 2 rows. I've started doing it here because I'm going to continue this all night and I wanted to show you what this looked like while it was still light outside. So I'm going to continue adding all the sticks around the edge of the mirror, and then I'm going to do more of these. So I will catch up with you when I'm done.
And that I did. So here is what it looked like after a good 3 or 4 hours of gluing all these tiny dowels into place. As you can see, the extra pieces I added around the center just add a bit more structure and hold the dowels in place, but you don't need to use them if you don't want to. I can see that it kind of gives it more of a rustic sort of bohemian messy look. So if you want to keep it a bit more minimal and modern, you can just do the starburst design without the added extras that I put on. And to attach it to the wall, I just used those Velcro style command strips and they held it perfectly in place.
Next up, I want to show you what I did to the Pat West box. Now, if you haven't watched my last thrift haul video, there's a fun story about the Pat West box. It's a very interesting tale. I'll refer you back to that video, but this is the Pat West box because it's covered in stickers that say Pat West on it, which I had to lovingly remove. But I have revamped it and I'm going to use it for some makeup storage, so this is what I did.
The first thing I wanted to do with the Pat West box was just take off this kind of hideous fabric from the top to see really what was lurking underneath. And as soon as I took off the back panel, I knew it wasn't going to be good. It looked very rough underneath and not the same type of wood that we had on the rest of the box. I used a craft knife to gently cut into the fabric and peel it away from the foam.
Okay, so I cut some of the fabric away, and as you can see, this is what's underneath. Not really what I had in mind, to be honest. It's in such bad condition and it's so badly hinged that what I'm gonna do is get a piece of wood cut to the same size as the top, and I'm just gonna attach it to the top because I don't actually need it to lift up. It only lifts into this drawer that opens anyway.
Despite this being done, I still didn't have a very well thought out plan, so I just decided to prep the box by unscrewing the lid and taking off all of those stickers.
Oh, Pat, why would you do this to me?
I found this sticker remover in Poundland and I just added it to the top of the stickers, let it sit for a minute and scraped away at them, which was still a bit of an annoying task really, but I didn't want to put this under running water because I didn't want any of the wood to expand. So once that was done, I cleaned it off and I pried apart this piece on the side that was just there. I'm not really sure what it was for, just a couple of pieces of extra wood, and then I just took the nails out as well. I decided that a good old-fashioned chalk paint would be my friend for this project, so I sanded the entire box. I hand sanded this because it was very small and it didn't really need much preparation. I also took off the little tiny handles and filled the holes with some regular all-purpose filler. Once that was done, I coated it in a good few coats of chalk paint. I'm using the Rust-Oleum chalky finish in the colour Hessian, which I really like. And once that was done, I also painted the piece of wood that I had cut to the right size for the top of the box. Here it is in all its glory. As you can see, it fits perfectly. And then I just had to attach it. So for this, I'm using some wood glue. I really like this Gorilla wood glue. I think it works very well. And I used quite a lot of it and placed the MDF on top and let it dry. Once it was dry, I added some more all-purpose filler along the cracks just so that I could give it a nice smooth finish, and then I gave it another coat of paint. And last but not least, I added some new handles. These are a lot more modern looking. I found these in Oliver Bonus, I think, a couple of years ago, and they were sat at the bottom of my door handle drawer, and I was dying to use them, so this was the perfect project as they're nice and thin and quite low profile, you know, for this very small project. And that's what they look like. This is the finished piece. It's definitely looking a lot different to how it did when I first bought it, and I'm really pleased with it. I've actually now put it on my desk and I'm using it to store all of my everyday makeup products with my mirror on top. It is so handy and I'm so pleased I'm able to use it every day.
Moving on, the little cane shelf that I picked up for £2 really needed a makeover because no matter what I did to clean it, some of the stains would not come off of it, and it wasn't the best quality of cane furniture, so I wasn't too scared of trying to give it a little bit of a makeover, and I really thought that it would be the perfect size for my office. So this is what I did with it.
With this piece, I started by coating it in some wood paint. I had some left over from my front door and my bedroom door. It's a very chalky kind of colour of pink. I had it matched to Calamine by Farrow & Ball. I really love this. It did take about 4 or 5 coats and a very small detail brush to get in all of those cracks, but in the end we got there and I was able to add some extra details to this piece.
I had a few of these Ikea placemats lying around in my office, so I've just started cutting them down to size and gluing them on the top, like so. So that should hopefully cover some of the stains.
So I measured and cut all of the pieces to size. I ended up using 1.5 Ikea placemats, so I'm not really sure what I'm going to do with the other half of the placemat. I'll find a use for it, I'm sure. And with it cut down to size, as you can see here, I'm adding a very thick and generous layer of that same Gorilla wood glue and just placing it on top to settle into the glue. I actually held this down in place with a few very heavy books while it was drying because it seemed to not really want to dry flat, but that did the job. I repeated the step on all of the shelves and let it dry. And this is how it turned out. I'm really pleased with it. It would make a lovely bedside table, but I'm only styling it here for a moment because I have my beloved gold leaf bedside tables already. This is going to make it into my office where I can start storing a few of my craft supplies while I'm working on other projects. Hopefully it will fit perfectly under my desk.
As I mentioned earlier, today's video is very kindly being sponsored by the Great Courses Plus, which is really exciting because they offer a lot of very interesting courses, some of which I think you guys might be very interested in. There's a few crafty ones on there. I took one of their courses on travel photography that I really liked. It was by the National Geographic. I'm going traveling very, very soon for a longish period of time, and I really want to be able to take some lovely pictures of my trip. But I'm not a very confident photographer, and it was a really interesting course. There was a lot about not only buildings and landscape, but people and culture and capturing different elements like that. The Great Courses Plus is a subscription video service that you can use to access lectures from industry professionals and some top professors. That is the second time I've done that. Some top professors at some very prestigious universities. They have over 11,000 lectures on so many different subjects, and there's a lot of crafty ones in there, including one about how to crochet that looks very interesting. At the moment they're offering a free trial, so if you want to try it you can go to thegreatcoursesplus.com/Hermione. I will leave that link in the description and you can try it out for free. Anyway, that's everything for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Do let me know if you want to see some more thrift flips. They are my favourite to film, no matter how many things go wrong when I'm filming them, because normally there is at least one thing that goes wrong. But yeah, let me know in the comments below, and with all of that being said, happy flipping, and I'll see you next time. Bye!